Hey, what's up everyone on YouTube and Twitter? So since the last video, Bitcoin has made new all-time highs. It actually made new all-time highs today, and it has been kind of slowly grinding up over the past week. And in my last video, I did discuss a mini sort of consolidation potentially that I discussed after we had made this move up, that we saw something like this. It would be a good sign that Bitcoin likely or wants to eventually continue. So Bitcoin is currently doing that, and it is also trading above this 10 SMA right here. So if you've been following my YouTube videos and my Twitter for the last few months, I have been using the 10 SMA in the past, and Bitcoin has not even touched it now since November 6th, which was the night of the election. So we have gone the longest without touching it for a very long time at this point. So there could be a test of this 10 SMA, but the interesting thing is this structure is looking very, very similar to what we saw back in 2020. So if you go back to 2020, once when Bitcoin broke these all-time highs at 20,000, it saw its initial move up, and then it consolidated for a few days around 25K, and then eventually tested this 10 SMA and then start to move up afterwards. So currently we're seeing the exact same thing take place where we moved up. We've been consolidating for the past few days, and we come close to testing the 10 SMA, but we have not seen it. But if this were to play out, this would look very similar. And this was also an ascending triangle structure back then. And this appears to be another type of ascending triangle we're essentially seeing right now. So this looks very similar to 2020. And we have gone over this in the past with the 10 SMA. If you recall, when we broke above it back here, it was similar to how we broke above it back here. We went above it, below it. If you guys recall from the videos from back in October, I outlined this way back then, how we went below it here, then went above it here, then went below it, went back below it right here, and then got back above it, and then made the start of the run. And we noted this all in real time on my Twitter and on YouTube. I discussed this, and once again, it's just looking exactly the same. So in reality, we could get a resolution within a few days before the end of the week, because at this rate, this 10 SMA is kind of moving up on this sort of trajectory. So if Bitcoin doesn't move up soon, it's going to break below the 10 SMA. So we should know really like within a few days whether or not this is going to move up or if this is going to break below finally. Now, if we do see a move up, we will still be using the Fibonacci targets that we used back here to identify this first target around 89,000. We ended up hitting that precisely, have been consolidating around it, but now the next target, which will be the 2.618, falls at around $113,000, $114,000. However, I'm sure there will be some sort of psychological resistance at 100K. But I do think that if we do get through 100K, we probably have a great shot to hit this target soon after. And that's what the bulls will be eyeing next. So now if we move over to Ethereum, and I've discussed this on my Patreon, which is in my bio multiple times, as well as what we have seen in the past with the altcoins. If you go back to 2020, Ethereum started to move up once when Bitcoin cleared its all-time highs. And the structure just looks similar to how Bitcoin's also looks similar to how it did in 2020. Initially, for Ethereum back in 2020, it saw a move up. This was when Bitcoin cleared its all-time highs. It saw a move up and then a pullback. It went below actually of where it was when Bitcoin cleared its all-time highs, but then it started to move up. If you look back to today, this is looking kind of similar in the sense where we have essentially moved up. Initially, this was off the break of all-time highs for Bitcoin, seen a pullback, and now we want to see it start to continue up. There is some support here at 2,800. We may see a retest of this level, but it still, from a structure standpoint, looks just like 2020. If it were to play out like 2020, actually, it would have to go below this area, which I don't think is going to happen. This was a break of major resistance here. Now, if we look at others, which is alts outside the top 10, this also shows a similar setup how we saw it back in 2020. If you go back to 2020, we initially had a move up. This was back here. This was when Bitcoin broke all-time highs right here. We essentially moved up. Then we saw a 30% pullback approximately right here. Went below actually, which we didn't see so far this year. And then we started to move up afterwards. So if we look at today, it just looks very similar where we had the initial move up, had the pullback, found support here, and now we're up against this upper resistance that we've been getting rejected from over the past few days. But this structure looks very similar to 2020. So essentially, this is very much shaping up how it did in 2020. We've been looking and comparing this to 2020 for many, many months as far as the election and post-election and everything else. And everything just continues to line up here where we're seeing Bitcoin push up here. We're seeing similar price action from Ethereum as well as the alts. So this is just setting up the same way, which means exciting times are pretty much ahead of us, probably as we head into the end of the year and the first quarter. If you're interested, I do have a Patreon. I post videos almost every single day, if not every other day. I do extra content on there in regards to the alts and just more Bitcoin and Ethereum content as well in general. I am also partnered with Coinbase. So if you are not signed up to Coinbase, I definitely recommend it. The link is in my YouTube description as well as my X bio right here. Sign up using my referral link. This is for Coinbase, the best possible exchange for all crypto, in my opinion. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on X, make sure to follow me on YouTube as I post all the videos there first. I'll see you guys in the next video.